that.
Yeah, we saw it. Yeah.
Yeah, I just thought a little off the cuff conversation would be interesting to folks.
Yeah.
You know, it's neat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's Thursday night, and you know what that means. Welcome to the Anyone Can Farm live chat, Thursday night edition. We have a special, very special set of guests here. This is Dave and Amanda Allen, and they hail from the great state of Indiana at this time. I know they move around a lot. But they're both Army veterans, so we'll have to just work our way past that. And began homesteading in 2015. And I met them in 14, I believe. And just an interesting side note was Dave agreed to run for sheriff with me as the undersheriff. I'll never forget that day when I had made the decision that, okay, I will do it if he will run with me. And I called, and he says, well, I better talk to Amanda about this. And then in about a week, Amanda was at my kitchen table. So she was on board with it too. We almost had him in Missaukee County, but we didn't get elected. Hello, Dominion. Yeah, probably turned out for the best that we didn't get elected. But you never know. We're not done yet, right?
No, I mean, if I got to go reactivate my license, I got to go reactivate my license. Yeah. Just let me know, because that shuttle run might get me now.
Yeah. All right. Well, I can tell you what I know about these guys, but I think it would be kind of interesting if they explained who they are. And then shortly after that, I will ask them why they are in the farming business. I want to keep everybody up to speed with how this works. We do have a chat here. So if you want to ask any questions of these guys, this is a very unique situation because these guys are Army veterans. A lot of Army veterans don't like to come on camera for obvious reasons, but these guys have agreed to do it. I got a lot of Army friends. It's the proportion of combat engineers, though, is way too many. Just way too many. I don't know how that happened. They just must have, from this part of the country, they just made you be combat engineers. The name of their homestead is Arrowhead Homestead, and it's in Indiana. Okay, and they've got some businesses going there. So why don't I turn it over to them to explain to us who they are and what we need to know. So take it away, you guys.
Okay. Dave and Amanda Allen, Arrowhead Homestead and Bohica Soapworks. Those are our two businesses. So we have been homesteading for quite a few years. Met Mark in 2014, like he said, kind of sparked the homesteading bug. We each started our own individual homesteads separately, and then combined those homesteads. So we started with two, moved it into one, and since then we have grown that homestead from some simple ducks and chickens for eggs, and have grown it to dairy goats and turkeys and rabbits and pasture poultry. Hoping to get into some pigs here shortly. We'll see how the price of fencing goes. But since combining our homesteads way back when, we have moved that homestead 2 more times since then. Three more times since then. Yeah, so we have basically started our homestead 5, 6. I guess the combo doesn't. When we combined them, it didn't really start as restarting. But so we've restarted our homestead from scratch 5 times, which gives us the unfortunate award of masters at starting a homestead.
And fencing.
And fencing. We are
Yeah.
master fencers, masters at trying to figure out the logistics of moving an active homestead. Every time we moved our homestead, we did not cull all our animals or sell them all off and start fresh. Every time we moved all of our animals and all those logistics with us to new properties.
Okay.
Every property has been really different in its assets and its liabilities. So we've become very good at evaluating what we're given and how we're going to utilize it in what we do. On top of that, everybody wants to know how to make money from your homestead. So I'm not very crafty because I was in the Army. But my wife, strangely enough, is. And so she started Bohica Soapworks a few years ago. And I'll let her talk about that.
Okay. All right. Very good.
So Bohica Soapworks is kind of a back to nature kind of mentality with cleanliness. Because when you get done with working on the homestead, you're all sweaty, you're greasy, you're just dirty. And we started noticing that there was more and more skin conditions that were coming out in our children and even in ourselves as we started to get older.
Mhm.
And so, yes, he did.
I didn't get older. I've
It's
stayed
him.
the same age every time.
So I had all this excess goat's milk in the fridge, and I'd done research on how goat's milk was absolutely phenomenal for the skin. And so I started making soap. Traditional recipes, super simple, easy. I've now gone into doing more of the holistic side of it, looking at different weeds, quote unquote, that are on the homestead that can be used for different aspects, like dandelions, plantain. There's a million and one difference.
Lavender.
I'm not going to notate them all, but using those back to nature items into the skincare regimen and fixing and correcting our own skin issues. So that's where Bohica came from.
Okay. What does that name mean? What does that name mean?
Of course.
So,
I don't know.
You can't say it because you didn't know it. It's a slang term very similar to that of FUBAR from the military. It was immensely popular in Korea and Vietnam.
we probably shouldn't say what it means. I shouldn't say what it means. Just have the listening public. They can Google the military
Okay.
acronym Bohica, and they'll figure it out. It's kind of an inside joke with us, but yeah, no, it doesn't have any super secret connotation.
Is the first word botched?
No.
Bend.
What is it?
Bend. BEND.
Bend. Okay. I don't know that one, and sounds like maybe I don't want to know because it will keep me awake at night. Have you ever heard Niggy Sob?
No.
No, that's
No.
one of those complicated Air Force acronyms. It's got too many letters in it for us.
Niggy Sob. Yeah, there's a lot of consonants in there and vowels. They call those vowels.
Oh,
Bohica, huh? It's like FUBAR, huh?
Yes.
FUBAR.
or snafu, or
Yeah.
any of those. Yes.
Yeah.
I pretty much summed up the end of my military career because I was medically retired. And when you kind of get forced out of something that in your mind, I was 29 years old, I could continue going, and military had something different planned, and so they medically retired me. And I felt like I'd gotten the raw end of the deal. And so this was my spin off of that to fill my excess time and to enjoy creating.
Okay. So there's two people that were individually homesteading, and then you had that in common, and then you You have the same last name. I'm assuming that's not a coincidence. You are married, and then you started another homestead. Why? Why'd you do that?
Well, why did we get together, or why? Or why
Well,
homesteading?
no. Why did you want to be in the homesteading business?
You know, I think there's a couple different facets to that.
Okay.
First, a lot of veterans, I had kind of noticed when we had gotten out, you lose that sense of mission, you lose that sense of purpose on a daily basis. Even if you have a job, sometimes that job is just a paycheck. It's not really what it's not it's not what you are. So you're looking for that sense of purpose, that daily mission. And I think homesteading provides that. Sometimes in ways you don't necessarily want it, but every day you get up, you have a mission that you have to accomplish. You have livestock that you have to feed or water or maintain. And on top of that, you have problems to solve. Yeah. Sometimes those problems are very simple and sometimes they're complicated, but it gives you that kind of mental job that you need to do to solve something. I think the other side of it is, our bodies have been beaten up by the military quite a bit, and we were really looking to heal our bodies as much as we could without medication, which is what the military wants to do to you when you get out. They want to medicate you. And so we wanted to cure our bodies and our minds with our food. But we were not rich people, and pasture-raised poultry is not cheap, and goat milk is not cheap, and all the things that we wanted, we couldn't really afford. So if we wanted them, we had to make them. We had to grow that. We had to plant that in the ground. We had to raise that and butcher it. And I think also the learning aspect. You are never done learning when you're homesteading. There's always another skill you can learn. There's always another thing that you can wrap your mind around to expand. Maybe it's your business at the homestead. Maybe it's just something you want to try, a new animal you want to raise, or a new way to can something, or a new way to rotate your animal from pasture, things like that. There's always new skills to learn. And I think that using that keeps your mind sharp, kept us sharp, kept us on our toes quite a few times. So I think that's one of the big drivers for people, at least veterans like us, when we were getting out. And you can joke and say, if you want to relate it to the military, especially if you were, a lower non-commissioned officer or lower enlisted, if you want to deal with people that don't listen to you, get some goats. It's just like talking to a private, So.
For me, it was different. I had a different drive for it. I had been going to the VA, and they were throwing medications at me left and right. And the day that I decided to start the homesteading journey and start to take better care of myself and potentially do some healing internally by eating better and taking care of what I need to focus on, came from one of the meds I was on. I was in a zombie state, and I remember getting to work and not remembering where I had taken my daughter.
Oh.
And I'd taken her to her daycare, and they'd gotten her on the school bus, and I was able to confirm all of that. But that was a big eye-opening experience, because I was a single mom at that point in time, and, not knowing where you put your, she was what, four
at the time,
I think.
Yeah.
Ooh.
It was really scary, and it was an eye-opener that, yes, everybody's telling me that these meds are safe, They're FDA approved. Everything's fine.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know, everything wasn't fine. And that was a big slap in the face. And so I started to educate myself on different I did what every doctor tells you not to do, went cold turkey off of all medications. I started figuring out how to mitigate some of the issues like chronic pain, inflammation with the joints from massive amounts of injury, with different things like turmeric and just changing a diet and a lifestyle. So that's where my homesteading desire came from.
Okay. For the people in the listening audience, you use the term VA.
Oh.
VA is Veterans Administration. So that's where you go when you're a veteran if you are beat up or, have some issues. And they can fix anything.
Yeah, government healthcare at the best.
At its finest.
Yeah. We can fix that.
Yeah.
Ibuprofen and drink water.
Yeah. I got a good VA story for you. When I got out, I had to go down to the Detroit area for a 3-day physical.
Oh, and, the 1010 appointment. I already know what this is.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it was pretty bad. And the civilian people that were taking care of us, they treated us like we were dead, the way they threw us around on the tables and stuff. And it was pretty bad. And so after that, I never went back. If I had something wrong with me, I just sucked it up. I just lived with it. And it was at about 17 years out or 16 years out, I applied for a job at the Army base, putting fuel on Blackhawks, just fueling Blackhawks. But I had a clearance, so I could do it. And so I had to go to the VA again. And I thought, well, okay. And I went to my appointment. It was a nurse practitioner. And she said, your records are incomplete. It appears that you haven't been to see us in about 15 years. And that can't be so, can it? And I said, yeah, that's so. She said, how come you haven't been going to the doctor? And I said, because I haven't been sick. I haven't been sick. Well, it shows here you had a broken leg. Well, I did have a broken leg. But then she wanted to know what medications I was on, and I just said, none. And she thought I was fibbing to her. She actually thought I was lying. I could see her writing things down. So my standing is not real good with them at this point. So hopefully...
When you were in Detroit, did you make sure to tell them that you were an Air Force veteran and they should be treating you nicer? Maybe you got stuck in an Army group or something like that.
I think I did.
Yeah.
I just know that every time a homeless person hit the deck, we all had to go because, of course, they were all veterans.
Yes.
And they lost their paperwork. But, yeah, it was quite something else. But anyway, okay, so you've found your niche on your homestead now. Amanda, you've got a soap making business going. Dave, you're kind of running the homestead, the facilities and all of that. Tell us where you're going. Have you got a plan? I'm sure you do, because we never do anything without a plan. But what does that plan look like for the next, let's say, 2 years and then 4 years, if you don't mind sharing that? This is really good stuff for the listening audience, by the way.
Well, so to simplify that down more,
okay,
because I know Dave's going to get into the specifics, our short-term goal is within 5 years of being at this property, we would like to be 50% self-sufficient off of the property itself.
Okay.
And then in the next 10 years, long-term, we're looking at towards 80% self-sufficient, where we are making and producing everything that we need to feed a family of 5 year-round, to hygiene products. We've got 3 girls and then myself, so obviously we go through a lot of hygiene products, just to make sure that we're not spending our money where it is not needed. So that is the simplified version of that for goals.
Well, and to get specific, because that's what I do.
Yeah.
I think there's really two facets to this farm. There is the soapworks, and then there is the homestead operation. Where the soapworks is going and where it's growing is, or where we found a lot of success outside of just the normal avenues of like a farmer's market, is county fairs and the state fair here in this state. Amanda has kind of carved out a niche as an educator in their pioneer village. So here at one of the local counties, she kind of jumped in as a pilot program. They didn't have a soap maker. They didn't know much about it. They brought her in for 10 straight days and were so impressed with her that the people there said, you need to come down to the state fair in Indianapolis. We don't have a soap maker down there. We'd like you to come down. So she applied for that position. Looks like she's been picked up, which is a huge opportunity. It's
almost 1 million people go through there in 18 days.
Wow.
So it's a massive amount of publicity, but it's also
an opportunity to educate too.
I teach education first and then selling as a vendor second is the motto and priorities of Pioneer Land and Pioneer Village. But you're able to show kids, adults, just pretty much anyone who's interested how start to finish the process goes. The downside is that, there is some limitations to what I can do. I specialize in making soap from fresh goat's milk. Obviously, I don't have a lot of fridge space when I'm going down to these events, so I'm having to give up some of the items that I do have my values in, but I bring powdered goat's milk, and it's better than nothing, but it's definitely educational based, and it's
a huge opportunity for exposure, obviously, in the state. So, but on the farm side of it, where the farm is expanding, hopefully in the next couple of years, is we're going to expand our custom butchery operation.
Oh yeah.
We've having just moved down here 14 months ago, we're kind of having to create a new community and making some of those connections already, doing some custom bird processing for people. And we're hoping to expand that as time goes on, because you're aware of this as much as anybody else.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people are, after stores were shut down and all the COVID craziness happened, especially in that state, people really got into learning and starting to raise their own chickens, but very few people wanted to butcher those chickens.
Right.
Either didn't want to invest in the logistics of it, or they just couldn't mentally wrap their head around it. Well, that is a perfect position for us. We will happily take your birds and process them for you for a nominal fee. And that's a great way to make a little side business.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Well, and then we also partner with other local businesses where we've got scraps from the butchery side of it. And my connections from Bohica Soapworks have opened up for
custom bougie dog treats.
Yeah, custom bougie dog treats.
Bougie.
Bougie dog treats. Yeah, we have some friends that make homemade dog treats and have a nice little business out of it, and they want our hearts, liver, and gizzards every time we butcher. And so we do a little trade-off for some product. Our dogs love it. They get to use the product. It's good for them. It's a nice, healthy organ meat for them, and away we go.
Hey, by the way, is Thor doing okay?
Your buddy Thor is doing just fine.
Okay.
I'm sure he's around here somewhere. I'll probably poke his head in here.
That little killer dog. I love that dog.
He's
All right. This sounds like a pretty interesting operation. Okay, where are you going to be in? How about 4 years? How about
In-
4 years?
in 4 years. We'd like to have Amanda not having to work at all offsite on the farm, not having to have a side job at all. We've already started to make the move from full time to part time there as her business has grown.
Yeah.
So we'd like to have her on the farm full time, focusing on Bohica Soapworks full time
And the garden.
and the garden full time because
Yeah.
I have a black thumb, not a green one.
Yeah.
And I think we also would have the butcher shop up and running and a pretty steady customer base there for custom butchery.
Okay.
I mean, if I'm looking hopeful, 4 years, we're also starting an education piece here. Maybe hosting a hog harvest.
And there you go.
Yeah, hosting a hog harvest or hosting some, chicken processing classes, pasture poultry classes, rabbit processing classes, things like that.
Yeah.
We'd like to kind of move into that educational piece, be able to host some things here, continue to grow that tribe community, that we really enjoy. So I think that's hopefully where we are in 4 years.
Okay. For the listening audience, that is a military thing. We are always training our replacement. Always. And then you go to the next thing. And I don't know, when are we going to retire someday out of homesteading? And where do we go then?
I don't know that you ever get to retire out of homesteading.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you might downsize maybe in your later years, simplify.
Not happening yet.
I know. Yeah, hadn't happened yet. We're not getting any younger, so
yeah.
I don't know. There's just something about watching the little birds running around the backyard. We've got small turkeys that they were kind of given to us, these little ones, and so they're not really retired from home.
Oh, right. Yes, absolutely, Andy. Retire from homestead means you're dead. Yes.
It's just peaceful. I mean, when you look out there, you can drink your morning coffee, you can watch sunrise. Yes, there's winters where it's cold, and like when we both had COVID at the same time, it was fun doing chores. There was a tag team event so that if one of us went down, the other one would be out there. So, hey, maybe they'll pull you up out of the snow. But I don't know if I ever want to leave the homestead. It's cultural.
I'm where I'm going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I think that as you stay active, if you're keeping your mind active, you're keeping your body active in this endeavor, the longer you keep those two things active, the longer you're going to go.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to sit around and watch Matlock reruns. That's no fun. For those people that remember who Matlock is, I mean,
that was a good show.
Yeah.
No, I got to tell you what my day was like, because it was just so outstanding. I have to share it. I had to cut hay today, and before I could cut hay, I had to put 2 new belts on the hay bind, and the hay bind's as old as I am, so it's fairly new, but some of the bolts aren't going to come off quite so easy, and you had to take a lot of them off, and I wasn't really looking forward to it, and I've been kind of putting it off and kind of putting it. Now here it is, September 1st. I got to do it. I tried to get to it yesterday. Couldn't. So this morning it was first thing. For some reason, everything came off. Put the belts on. It went back on. I took it over next door. I started cutting. I went around one time and I hit something. I had to change a guard and a section on it, which it was an hour. And while I was doing it, I noticed that there was a water leak. And so then I had to go get my tools to fix the water leak. I got that fixed. I went around about 5 times, and then I realized the sky is just beautiful blue. I mean, have you noticed the sky is a lot better than it has been in the last few years? It's very nice shade of blue. And it smelled good, like fresh cut grass. And I just thought, if this is the end of the road right here, I'm going out on a good thing. And then Kyle gets me, and these two guys have come to visit me from way out on the East Coast. So I mean, what a day! Are you kidding? I would never want to leave this homestead. No way. No way.
Yeah.
I used to kid about getting a fishing boat and go shrimping, but nah, not really.
I can honestly say my worst day homesteading is better than my best day at any other job I've ever had.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, that's a no-brainer, you know.
Yeah.
Now this is recording, right? Because I can play this back when he has a fit.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's all sunshine and rainbows and unicorn farts every day. No,
it certainly isn't.
Yeah, some days are terrible, but
don't you feel as though you've learned to deal with life better? I mean, it seemed like in the service, it was like when we had a massive thing, then okay, somebody much higher ranking has to step in and make a decision. Well, I don't have anybody like that here. It has to be made at my level. So I guess I'm the highest ranking guy. But like today, when that water line popped off and it was 4:00 and I hadn't cut any hay yet, I was like, am I ever going to get this done? But I calmed myself down and just did what I had to do. And, I got at least half of it cut and worked all the bugs out of the hay bind. So I felt really good about what I'd done. And it's a continual process like that of growing up, I think, on the homestead.
I think the hardest thing I know I had to learn, and I'm not going to say I've totally overcome this because it does rear its ugly head every now and again. We are planners coming out of the military, and we like itineraries, and we want to say, okay, these are the 5 items I'm going to get completed today, and guaranteed something's going to go wrong in item 2, and I'm not going to get to 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah.
And or something that's not even on my list is going to come up, and it's going to need to be triaged, and it might take precedence over everything else that I've got planned for that day. And I think the hardest lesson I had to learn, and am still learning on a daily basis because I'm still not 100% good with this, is rolling with that punch and understanding that, you know what you're going to get done, what you're going to get done today, and things are going to happen, and you just got to kind of roll with it because tomorrow's a new day and you can work on the list then.
Yeah.
But that's a hard pill to swallow for some people. You know what I mean? Like when I say I want to get project A, B, and C wrapped up today, and I don't get any of them wrapped up, it's hard not to look back at that when you're a military guy and say, I failed because I did not complete my mission.
Yeah.
But you have the next day. You can complete that mission. There's very few things here that are so time sensitive that you can't just say, okay, well, I'll finish that tomorrow.
Yeah. I have a little input on that too. I think when I was junior at this, I used to do that. I would get so excited the night before about the things that I wanted to get done the next day. I'd be thinking about them before I went to sleep. Get up, hit the ground running, and then something happens. And it can be like somebody comes to visit. It can be like a phone call. It can be all kinds of things, a dog getting hit by a car. There's all kinds of things. I had a funeral that we had to go to last week. I mean, that wasn't planned. But I walk away from the day and I say, well, I'm not at net zero because I got something done. And I maintained. I didn't go in reverse. I mean, I'm still clean, dry, serviceable. I'm still upright and I'm still digesting my food. So I am a list guy too. And I know the power of that when you sit down and you make a list. And but I have my fallback position is if I make a gain, any gain, I consider it a victory and mission complete because, you know, like you said, you set out to do one thing and then boom, something else happens and it takes priority and you got to get that done. So, yeah, our role as the head cook and bottle washer here at the homestead is a little bit different than being a cog in the wheel in the military. And you know, your shift comes to an end and you go home, and it's like, yeah, I'll worry about it tomorrow. I don't care. Yeah, this is a little different.
Yeah, there is. I mean, we always joke there is no off day here. There's no day off. You might have a light work day, but that's pretty rare. and usually, if you have a light work day, you're going to want to fill it with some other stuff that maybe you didn't have to get done because on a heavy work day, something's going to happen, and you're going to want to try to be ahead of that curve a little bit.
Hey, along those lines, tell me. Where's your health? Where's your health, both physical and mental, compared to, well, you're out 7-8 years now, both of you?
Oh, no, I'm 5.
You're out 10 years?
He's out 5. I've been out longer. I'm out 14 now.
Okay. So where's your health, Dave? Physical and mental compared to.
So physical health is definitely getting better. There's days that, a lot of my problems related to joints and wear and tear on my knees and my shoulders. Since getting out, both of my shoulders have been completely rebuilt. But that took a long time to kind of get back to normal. I mean, those 2 shoulders were a 4-year process.
Yeah.
But the recovery from those was really good because of the things we already had in place, the healthy food, the physical activity before and after. So my recovery from that, getting back to where I was is really good. I think, being more active on the farm now, my physical strength, my flexibility is better. My endurance is better. My cardiovascular health is better.
Yeah.
It's like going to the gym every day.
We have friends that come down and they're weightlifters,
Yeah.
and they do one minor fencing project that is about a quarter of what we can do in a day. And they have abs, they have all these gorgeous muscles, and they get down here and we run circles around them.
We're farm strong. We're not pretty strong.
Correct.
And we've put some people out of commission for a couple days when they came down to help us.
Yeah.
They learned that there is a difference between those 2 things.
Yeah.
Mental health wise, I think my mental health on the farm is better. It's never going to be great. I have to understand my baseline is now different. But I think my mental health here, being able to create, grow, raise, problem solve, all those things, I think that keeps my mental health in a better spot than it would be. And it's kept me off medication, which to me is the big thing.
Yeah.
I haven't had to go the medication route that I've seen a lot of my friends have to go because they don't have that. They don't have that ability to do those things to kind of balance themselves out.
It also created a space where a lot of his veteran friends can also come out and get reprieves from life or their mental states, where they can come out and just shoot off some steam.
Yeah.
So
it has been, I was telling you before this started, we just had a reunion for the guys that I deployed with, and there was about 30 of them here. And a lot of the guys that were here have already messaged me, hey, can you send me a picture of that chicken tractor you built? kind of thinking about starting something like that here. When they were here, they're just like, man, this is just such an amazing place to wake up at and to be around and to see the livestock and to experience the things that are just here on a farm. I think a lot of those guys took away from that, like this kind of desire, like if I can't start that now, I want to, and this is the direction I want to go, because
the tranquility of it.
Yeah, the tranquility of it is, it is healing. It is really healing.
Seems like a lot of vets need a mountain to climb. They've been pushed. I know you get pushed for 20, or in my case, 20 years, always climbing another mountain. And then when you get out, if you sit, that's not good. And a lot of the, just so our listening audience knows, and Dave does this too, Dave and Amanda do this too, that they have kind of a policy that if a veteran needs something, we drop what we're doing. I mean, immediately, we'll help the guy out, because you never know where they're at, and you don't want to wait. Yeah, I'll talk to you next week. You don't want to do that. And I find a lot of time it's a combination of the medication and the lack of purpose. I mean, some of these guys were making big decisions on a daily basis, and then they come out into the civilian world, and let's say they're 25 years old or 28 years old, and they go to work as the new guy someplace. They don't make any decisions, and they're kind of the new guy. And so that's a tough situation. So
I think, needing a mountain to climb, I think really they just need a mission.
A mission.
I think everybody looks for that mission, that purpose, like you said. But the other thing is, a lot of the programs out there that are for veterans are there to help you get a job or help you transition into civilian life. They're there to help you make a living. And while that's a component of what a veteran needs when they transition out, really what veterans need is they need to learn how to live.
Yeah.
They don't need a living, they need to learn how to live. And nothing will teach you how to live like homesteading. And so I think that's why that draw, when guys find that niche, even if it's little, I mean, it doesn't have to be on 40 acres or 7, or it can be on a half-acre plot in a neighborhood.
Sure.
Just that little bit of something to learn how to live is what's important for them.
Yeah. What do you think, Amanda? You on board with that? I mean, have you got the female
perspective
point of view on that? Because I know it's slightly different. It could be slightly different.
For the most part, we do. So we've had ever-changing roles on the homestead.
Yeah.
I know a lot of individuals will go into the woman role and then the male role. And I'm not saying that we don't do that or we don't have similar items, but we really make sure that if he goes down with a spasming back, or when he had shoulder surgery, moving, all of that stuff goes onto one individual. And to be able to know and be able to function on the same level as your partner is extremely beneficial. But it can also, his triggering episodes mentally, it can also trigger mine. So we have to be very careful with the roles, because most people do. I guess it's more of a pet peeve of mine, but when they come to the homestead and we say that we're a veteran-owned homestead, the first thing they do is go right to him. And I'm 11 years military, medically retired, and I earned some stuff too.
Yeah.
And it's
There is definitely some assumptions that are made a lot of times by
Well,
people.
I mean, yeah, I made them too. You're very feminine, and I
Thank
didn't.
you.
No,
like it's
she.
Oh, sorry.
You're a femme, but you're not feminine. No, she's very feminine, and I wouldn't. I think that's easy to buy that you were, uh, an infantryman, but well, that's kind of a good thing that you don't look the infantryman part, Amanda.
well,
I appreciate it.
it got came to a head with his friends. A lot of them made comments about, well, why did you let her? I was like, honey, we weren't together then. Nobody was letting me make a decision.
Yeah.
So kind of a part of the homesteading is that we really make sure that our partner knows every task that we do start to finish.
Yeah.
I may not know, oh, this day this goat gets this medication, or
Well, she might know, but she's not doing it. I'm doing it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Okay.
and that's that. It's
I'll tell you what, I was kind of wondering, and I see a comment in the chat here. When Amanda, when you were in, did they give you bullets for your gun as a female?
no,
No,
not at all.
I,
They were too terrified we would shoot them. Yes, I had bullets.
I wouldn't trust her with bullets, but
And
No, hey.
actually, my favorite was the Mark 19 automatic grenade launcher.
Yeah.
Talk about accuracy. Yeah. I like to blow stuff up.
Too much.
Yeah, I think all homesteads run like with the same thought process of a special forces team. You might have a weapons guy and a commo guy and a demolitions guy and all those things. But you also have to cross train everybody else in the group on everybody else's job. So I might not milk goats because that was the deal, but I have to know how to milk goats in case she's not able to milk goats for some reason on some specific day. She doesn't have to know what the rotation is in the pasture, but if I'm unable to rotate something, she knows how to do it and is fully capable of doing it.
Yeah, it's the give and take and not falling into the rules. I think that's the biggest issue within a lot of homestead failures is that
they're locked in. They're locked into that idea of, well, she's just going to cook and clean and can and garden, and you're going to do everything else. Yeah. And when one goes down,
or there's you can't backfill, and someone says, this isn't for me, this isn't the lifestyle, and you're completely down. Both individuals has to go into the knowledge that they're doing everything start to finish themselves, because at any point in time their partner can be incapacitated.
Right. Yeah, we've got quite a few vets in the tribe, and I'm pretty sure that they're all doing quite well because of that factor there, where there's no job that's too big or too small. If it needs to be done, they're willing to get in there and do it. I got civilian friends like that too, though. It's not.
And it's ownership. In the military, you don't get to claim an ownership. Oh yeah, you did this job and you completed this mission, but at the end of the day, you don't get to take that.
Yeah.
Whereas here, you put a bird on a pasture, and then you butcher that bird, and then you get to enjoy that bird a couple times over, from bone broth to dinner. I mean, it just, the sense of completion and mission once you've started it and done it for yourself is phenomenal.
Yeah. Fills that niche.
Oh,
So,
definitely.
let's see. I think we burned through everything except this one question just keeps. Who's to blame for having goats on that farm? Oh, so
Me,
it's you? Okay.
Oh, it's totally her. It's
100%.
totally her. Yeah. I was like you, Mark. I was totally opposed to having goats because of all the horror stories. Oh, they get out all the time. They're problematic. There's, they're difficult to deal with. They're always hopping the fence. They're stubborn. All those things.
And they are.
And they are. But if you fence well, they don't get out. If your pastures are right, they don't want to get out. If they're raised right, they're just like a dog. They're amazing, very charismatic animals. The deal was at the beginning, she said, I want to have goats. I will milk them. I will take care of them. You just have to help me do the fencing and all those things. But honestly, once we got them here, I fell in love with them. And they really have become one of the more utilitarian animals on this homestead. Yeah. They are great creatures. They're a great intro animal with homesteading because you can get dairy, you can get meat. They're great at clearing brambles. They're great at clearing out ivies. They're great at thriving on portions of your property that most other animals would not thrive on.
That's true.
And they're just a lot of fun. They just are a lot of fun. I mean, there's no more enjoyable sight than watching goat kids, at 3-4 weeks old, hop around a pasture and jump around and bleat and have a good time and, be with their mom. That's a great sight. And it's always heartwarming. And they don't come with a lot of the problems of some of the larger dairy animals. Their birthing is usually not problematic or not as problematic as a dairy cow. You don't have to try to figure out what to do with, 4 to 7 gallons of milk all at one time. It comes in a much more manageable portion. So I do. She is to blame for the goats, but I am really happy she convinced me that we needed, because they're a blast.
I would have just picked them up. There was no convincing.
I would have come home and there would have been a goat sitting in a pasture, and I wouldn't have had anything to say about it. But they really are a great, and they have been some of the most fun things I have dealt with on the farm. I'll tell my goat birthing story from the farm this spring. So we had one goat.
So I was away at a conference.
Yes,
normally I do all the birthing.
Yeah, normally birthing is not my deal, but this is a great example of you got to know how to do everything, even if it's not your normal deal. So we knew we had a goat that was due at any point in time to kid out. She was away for 2 or 3 days, I think. 3 days up in Michigan at a conference. I had checked the goat the night before. She wasn't contracting. I thought, great. So she's probably not going to kid out tonight. I'll check her tomorrow. I came out that next morning to start my chore rotation, and I noticed she wasn't out grazing like she normally is about that time. I thought, well, I wonder if she started her labor. So I walked into the stall, and there was one goat, one baby kid already up and standing, and one wet one that had just been born, laying on the straw. She was kind of cleaning that goat off. The water sack was out. For those that are involved with goats, they understand that once the water sack comes out, it means you're about done kidding. She's going to kind of contract a little bit more and clean out and, deliver her afterbirth and all that stuff, but you're about done. So I thought, great. Everybody looks healthy. Everybody looks fine. Mom's still contracting. Mom looks healthy. No problems. She's going to clean out. I'm going to go finish chores, and I'll come back and check on them. Well, 15 minutes later, I was done. I came back, and she had given birth to the third goat. and that third goat was not breathing. It was just laying in the straw. So I'm not a vet, but I have watched a bunch of episodes of Dr. Pole. So I knew at least kind of what to do. So I started sucking snot out of the goat's nose and blowing air in and doing some chest compressions. And I revived that baby kid.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, while he's on the phone with me.
All while I'm on the phone with her, because I told her what had happened before. I said, hey, we had 2 buckling and a doeling. We're looking good. Water sacs out. Everything's good. And then this happened, and I gave her a call. So I'm on the ground holding this goat that can't stand. And I got to spend the next 4 hours laying in goat afterbirth, holding this goat's head up so it could suckle on mom, drying it off with a towel and doing all that stuff. But she survived. She survived. She's thriving. She's doing great. And
she's one of the bigger goats.
She's not a runt. She's actually pretty good size. So that's one of those things that, that experience is proof that you have to be ready to do anything at any point in time. Yeah. Whatever's on your schedule now is off because you're dealing with that goat.
Yeah.
But it was just a great experience. It's great mentally to be able to do that. It's great to be able to experience that. And that's like nothing else.
Yeah. You cross that one off your bucket list.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really want to do it again. I would, but I don't really want to do it again.
It's kind of freeing, though, isn't it? When you go through a tough time like that and you make it through, then you say, oh, well, that wasn't as tough as I thought it was going to be. The first time I delivered a human baby, it was kind of like, oh, that's all there is to it? Yeah, that's not so tough. A lot of things like that. What's that?
I mean,
I don't want to do that.
Yeah, we don't want to deliver any humans here at the farm.
You can talk to the mother.
Yeah.
She can tell you what's going on. It's a whole lot easier than a cow. Well, hey, what's going on? Oh, I might have to reach in there and feel around to see what's going on.
Yeah, but it is freeing. It is freeing to know that we can do it. Yeah. But it's how many times do we say this? If you do the thing, you have the power.
You have the power. That's it.
And that's what it gets down to. I would never know I could resuscitate a goat until I did it. Yeah.
Well, we have reached the end of our interview time period, and I would like to take a parting shot here, just so the listening audience knows. I've watched these guys now. It's been, I think, 5 years, hasn't it? Well, 16, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's been 7 years.
Oh, yeah.
And I've been to the first or maybe the third farm, but I haven't been to the current one. And I've watched things progress. And I remember things were kind of rough at the first one. It's kind of rough. I went to your wedding. I mean, you had kind of a slate to work with, and you did quite a few things with it. But I got to say, you've stuck with it, and I'm really proud of you for doing it. And I think that this interview is going to be very helpful to people who are in a similar situation that are trying to figure out what to do. And the information is their information is in the description down below. And I know these people well enough to know if you needed to contact them to find out some additional information, that would not be a problem. But I thank you guys for coming on and taking the time to do this. And remember, anyone can farm.
Thank you, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
All right. Thank you. Talk to you later.
Talk to you later.
Bye.
Okay, we ended the stream. That's it. We're still on, but the stream's off. So, oh no, it says live.
Yeah,